I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, January the 25th, brought to you in part by Joplin Regional Stockyards. Regular Monday feeder cattle sale here, expecting about 6,000 head, so kind of a typical kind of a day. Now they're going to be having a primetime video next Thursday, not this Thursday, but next Thursday, so you guys can start making your plans for that. And then of course they have their regular Way Up Cow and Bull sale every Wednesday, and usually have a good run there. But for more information or look at the calendar, scheduling, what's going on at Joplin, go to joplinstockyards.com. Holding gains in the cattle market. Late last week we saw your futures especially really make a run up, and then that passed on down to your cash feeder cattle also. And we saw a little bit of pep in your fat cattle market late in the week too, although the bulk of your sales had already sold. But pretty darn good market around. And then we saw huge sharp gains on Friday on your feeder cattle futures especially. I mean sharply higher. But then that was before we had our cattle on feed report. So the cattle on feed report ended up being bearish. Myself and a lot of other people thought that according to the analyst projections, we had room for that report to be friendly. But it was not friendly. In fact, it was fairly bearish there. So we would expect that to affect the market. But to tell you the truth, I think we've got so much inertia with this market going up. I don't think the cattle on feed report's really going to hold it back that much. I think this might be one time we can steamroll your cattle on feed report with just some positive fundamentals with our cattle market. You look at the projections for your opening futures markets on your cattle, and they show to be sharply higher again. Now, why was everything so sharply higher on Friday? Well, for the most part, it was because your grains were down so hard. And you think, well, did they have some kind of a report? Because that's what we had early last week. Was your report? It was just a week ago there. That made your grains go up so much more. But they got overbought, and so they had to come down some. And then we had weather reports out of South America that they were getting a lot of rain. That changed the entire complexion of everything, and then everybody is thinking, well, maybe we're not going to have a shortage of grains, which we were never going to have. We've got more on farm storage than anybody even knows about. Most of it stays full all the time. But your March corn on Friday was down 23 3/4 cents, barely clinging to $5 a bushel, which we've been talking about $5 a bushel all fall. And now we just kind of accepted the fact we're going to have $5 bushel corn. Well, March corn ended the day's session, or ended the week's session, at $5.50. And now your beans for March, they were down 58.5 on Friday there, clinging to $13 at $13.11 3/4, and we were just expecting beans to be up there in the middle teens somewhere. But that has really changed the complexion of everything, and I don't see the grains bouncing back up now because it's such a world commodity. Your grains especially. It's pretty consistent as to quality, and then you can trade it all over the world. And when something happens in South America or something like that, it's not a whole lot different than it happening right here within our borders. So that's going to keep it down. And it sounds like they were getting significant moisture in South America, and that's where they really needed it. But you look at your cattle on feed report, and like I told you, it was fairly bearish. But your estimations for January 1st inventory cattle on feed was 99.5, and it come out with the actuals at 100 even. So and that was all due to your placements. Now your placements during December, the estimations were for 97.1% of a year ago's report, and it come out to be 100.7. So missed that, pretty good chunk there, and more than what we normally see it missed. So, and it was missed to the bad side. And then you think, well, where would cattle be, feeder cattle and calves for that matter, if they weren't in a lot being fed somewhere? There's no place to turn anything out right now. If you've got any stockpile grass, likely you've got your cows eating that, and a lot of those are getting ready to calve. So there's not a lot of places to have it. Now, I was out in Nevada, Fallon, Nevada. They had a heck of a sale out there last Thursday because there has been some moisture in the West Coast there, and they are starting to turn some cattle out there, but just in the last few weeks here. And they were expecting moisture in California over the weekend. Likely they got it because we're starting to see the storms moving across the middle part of the country here early in the week. I know we got a pretty good rain in the Amarillo area on Sunday night, which is rare, especially rare this time of year, but got a pretty good shower there. And then see, they're going to be getting some measurable snow amounts up in the Midwest moving on through the early part of the week. But, we saw the placements be missed to the bad side, and we think, there's no place to turn cattle out at all. But then on the other hand, the only significant gains in placements were on your 800 to 1,000 pound feeder cattle. So, some things you just can't explain very often. You look at your marketings, and they were very close to come out. Actually, they were a little bit to the plus side, but not much. But they were guessing 100.6% of a year ago, come out to be 101. And I tell you, there's always some kind of a record on these cattle on feed reports. That 101%, the percentile, that the total amount of marketings for this past December were the highest that we'd ever seen for the January report, or second highest we'd ever seen on the January report since the series began. And we've always got something bigger, better, or lower, or whatever than the series began, which was in 1996. But anyway, everybody's looking forward to this cattle inventory report that's coming out on Friday. We're expecting it to be bullish. The expectations are already bullish, and then if it comes out close to that, then it's going to be a bullish thing for the industry. And just overall, your funds are the ones that really come into your cattle futures late in the week, and likely they're going to continue to do that. Since the absolute worst of the COVID, your cattle is about the only commodity that isn't significantly higher than what it was before. And now that we have this liberal administration, everything's going to be higher. Our interest is going to be higher. Our fuel is going to be higher. All of our inputs are going to be higher. They're wanting to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. It wasn't very long ago, $15 an hour was a hell of a job. Well, if the people that with no skills, likely young people and people with absolutely no training at all, working in fast food restaurants and things of the like, if they're making $15 an hour, what's everybody else going to want? Right now a quarter pounder with cheese meal costs about what your minimum wage is per hour. Well, so I guess if we raise it up there, is a quarter pounder of cheese meal going to cost $15? So are people going to continue to eat hamburgers like they do now? A lot of people eat hamburgers out at fast food restaurants because, especially if they live alone, or they're, if they're young or single and don't have it set up, it's cheaper for them to do that than it is to buy groceries. But if people aren't eating in hamburger joints and things like that because they get significantly higher to eat at, that could change the whole complexion of how much beef we sell, because that's where the bulk of our beef products are consumed, in those fast food restaurants and places like that. But we're also starting to see some of our major metropolitan areas open up a little bit. They've quit, a lot of these Democratic leaders have quit ignoring the fact that the science doesn't agree with shutdowns, because the places that have been shut up and closed up the worst over this COVID, their COVID infection rates are no better than the places that were wide open, duh. And so now they didn't want to open those up, but now that we've gotten rid of Trump, now they just want to start easing regulations on that kind of thing and make people think their lives are better. And those that don't pay any attention or don't know any better, they think, my gosh, things are suddenly better than they were. And so that's one of their ploys to do that. But if they start opening more of these restaurants up and letting people go in and sit down and eat, they're going to be selling more beef. That's another reason for this bullishness. So we've got a lot of bullishness here. A lot of it is due to just things on the complexion and fundamentals. And if we can hold those gains and get over this bearish cattle and feed report, it'd be a pretty good deal. I know you guys are like me. You've enjoyed seeing all these Bernie Sanders sightings all over the place, and he, ever since the inauguration there, he's been on kind of a world tour and really doing a lot of things that maybe you wouldn't expect him to do. But the best thing that I saw for quite a while was Bernie being at Dunlap Livestock at the sale there in Iowa, sitting next to my good friend Doug Willett, and I don't know if Doug was training him to take over some of his orders or how that was working, but I did get a big kick out of seeing that picture there, and I hope you guys enjoy it too. Let's talk about your futures for last week. February live cattle futures, Monday was closed for holiday. Tuesday was up 55 cents. Wednesday was up 2 cents. Thursday up 75 cents. Friday up the big 262, with February live cattle futures ending the week at 116.72. That was up 3.95 for the week. April ended at 122.52. Remember, we were frustrated because we couldn't hold April at 120. It ended the week at 122.5, up $4.32. Talk about feeder cattle. January feeder cattle, Monday was Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Tuesday down 17, Wednesday up 90, Thursday up 57, Friday up $1.37. Look at January feeder cattle contracts, which are due to settle here this week. So I mean, they couldn't get too wild with them. 137.25, up 268 for the week, which was similar to what your index levels were up. But look at March feeder cattle, ended at 144.15, up $8.33 for the week, up the $5 limit on Friday, guys. Big gains, and I don't think the bearish cattle and feed report is going to be enough to take them down. Let's go with your fat cattle trade for last week. Through Thursday, they'd sold 73,500 head, and not much more cleanup on Friday. So that's going to be pretty close. I doubt we even get 80,000 for the week, which we'd like to see it closer to 100. But look at your trade for the week. Live sales, steers and heifers from 105, which was some of your Iowa guys puking some big heavy cattle there early in the trading session. 105 to 111. Bulkier trade was from 109 to 110. 110 pretty much in the Southern Plains. Did have a few cattle sell at 111 there, but 110 probably your market for the most part. Your weighted average on live steers in the 5-area feeding region, 109.48, so kind of a split between 109 and 110. That was steady to mostly a buck lower for the week. But like I said, you did see, the bulk of your trade actually happened on Wednesday. And we saw some of your better end cattle selling at 111, but most of your cattle selling at 110. But the best ones that walk selling at 111 come in on Thursday, and I saw reports of mixed bag steer and heifer pens, kind of, nearly heiferette type deals, cutting bulls, Mexican steers selling at 110. How particular you guys get on your feedlot replacements. And then when you stand back and look at that kind of a trade, it kind of makes you shake your head a little bit. Let's talk about dress trade. Steers and heifers from 169 to 176, but for the most part it was 173. Your weighted average on dress steers in your 5 area was 170.260, so that's kind of steady to weak for the week's trade there. We had a little bit of trade on Friday. Iowa about 1,200 from 107 to 109, 166 to 173, just some odd deals. Nebraska about 1,200, all at 110 and 173. That's your market. Kansas about 400 at 110, but not really too much to talk about there, and not going to add to your totals a whole lot. Box beef cutout values ended the week. This is your weighted average for all of last week's trades on your wholesale beef market, but choice cuts all of last week had a weighted average of $219.09. That was up $8.27 compared to your weighted average the previous week, and was not nearly as high as what boxed beef cutouts traded at the end of the week last week, but that was just the weighted average. Your closing market for Friday afternoon was 222.82. I mean, really, just making huge gains just since your first trading days of the new year, just in the last couple of weeks. That's up like $13. I mean, they've done nothing but go straight up since we come back into the new year after the holidays. Look at selects. Your weighted average for last week, 208.64, up 9.23 compared to the weighted average from the previous week. Your ending markets on select cuts, 213.34, up like $16 from the first trading days of the new year. Just moderate movement, 664 loads, and I hear tell that your packers are kind of on shorthand because of these of their wholesale product here. And remember, we talked during the holidays that they had sold a lot of product for the new year, and they hadn't really cranked up the slaughter like they needed to keep their freezers full for sending out shipments of product. But they're going to have to come in here and step these up a little bit. I know they've got some scheduled maintenance here, but they're making money on this product. They've got a lot of it promised, and these cutout values are going up so sharply, and we're starting to see an increase in food service as these big areas start to open up. The middlemen for those products are going to be filling up their freezers, and we're likely to see a lot more demand here for beef. That's going to trickle down to our cattle if guys can just kind of get a little bit of leverage here. And I want to mention, you guys, I've been talking about the Texas cash pool that Consolidated Beef Producers have been doing the last few weeks here. Already have heard for this Tuesday, here tomorrow, they're going to have another sealed bid deal, and they get different lots to put in, a pen of cattle or whatever. They've already got twice as many as what they've been having. And we'd like to get more than that. So I wish some more of you guys would get a hold of them. Tell them you want to be part of the solution on getting this cash market going. Let them sell a pen for you. And we're not asking for your whole show list, but let them sell a pen for you. Tell you what, Casey Bradshaw and the guys at Consolidated Beef Producers, they've got the connections. Been doing this here for a few weeks. The packers have been giving fair prices on that sealed bid deal, and they take the best one and they get the cattle. But that has set our market at a decent place the last couple of weeks here, and it's going to continue to do so. But if you guys don't get in and support that, then it's like every other fix we've tried to do that hasn't worked. We've got to work together here as cattle sellers if we want to get anything done with the packers, and they're wanting to support this program. So give them the opportunity to do it, and they want to put a good foot forward. They want to show good faith that they're wanting to buy some cash cattle to establish a price for these formula deals. So let's get behind this thing, because it could really work, and it's already worked good on no more cattle they've been selling. But they've got about twice as many already consigned for this week's Texas Cash Pool. If you got a pen you're selling here in the next couple of weeks, get a hold of them. You guys that are having your cattle custom fed, tell your manager, hey, I want to get involved in this deal. Yes, they're your cattle. You can sell them however you want to. Your slaughter, it's been pretty good. The last couple of weeks, this past week was the same way. We were kind of disappointed going through the week, but then we have big Saturdays that catch us back up. So last week's slaughter ended with 657,000 through Saturday. That was 6,000 more than the previous week, which we'd been running about at par. It was 13,000 more than the same week a year ago, which we'd been running way behind on, but had a big Saturday of 69,000 head, and so that's a good thing. And like I said, if these packers want to keep up, keeping that product rolling, they're going to have to speed these chains up a little bit, which could be a good deal. Let's talk about feeder cattle market. Real-time index on DV auction ended the week at 134.75 based on an 800-pound steer. That was up $2.29 for the week. You look at your trends and your sale barns going through the week. Now up through Wednesday, that's when your biggest sales are, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Up through there, most of your trends were kind of unevenly steady to $3 lower. But then when we saw your support from your board, a little bit of support in your Fed Cattle Arena, and just optimism on Thursday and Friday, those turned up a bunch. So on Friday, your sales were, and Thursday late sales and Friday sales were mostly all higher of feeder cattle and calves, as much as $8 higher. So your big volume early week sales have yet to realize those jumps, so they should be pretty good. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, they've got some ground to catch up, so they should be higher trends in your sales here to start the week out. But we look at some quotes around late last week. How about Saturday? Fort Scott, Kansas, had about 2,700 head of feeder cattle there, so a pretty good offering for them. Feeders sold steady to $3 higher, with most of your gains on the heifers. Calves were sharply higher. You look at these load lots of steers that I pulled out of there, and pretty good, just a market there. That's just market prices, nothing fancy, nothing too special, but pretty good market there on Saturday, with loads of steers weighing 775 to 950 pounds, selling from 128 to 135 there in eastern Kansas. How about Crawford Livestock Market there on Friday? Individual quote, 55 head, 445 pound little stocker steers sell at 201. How about Pays Public Auction Yards there in Billings, Montana? 59 head, 585 pound steers weighing just almost 6 at $166 on Friday in Billings. That's pretty good. But the best quote that I saw late last week, and your Zactran top quote for the day, come out of Lexington Livestock Market, Lexington, Nebraska on Friday. 56 head, 836 pound feeder steers, $142. And that's your feeder flash for Monday.